Saint Dionysius, also known as Saint Denis, was a 3rd-century Christian martyr and the first bishop of Paris. He was beheaded, along with his companions Rusticus and Eleutherius, on Montmartre in Paris. A popular legend claims that after his beheading, Dionysius carried his severed head to a place outside of Paris, now known as Saint Denis, where he was eventually buried. Saint Dionysius was sent to Gaul to preach the gospel. Martyrdom. He was martyred for his faith by beheading, along with his companions, likely during the persecution of Christians under Emperor Decius. Montmartre. The hill where he was beheaded, Montmartre, is believed to have been a Druidic holy place prior to the martyrdom. Cephalophore. The legend of Saint Dionysius carrying his head classifies him as a cephalophore, a type of saint depicted carrying their own severed head. Basilica of Saint Denis. The site where Saint Dionysius was buried after carrying his head became the location of the Basilica of Saint Denis, a significant church in France. In today's video, I want to talk about Saint Dionysius, the man who kept preaching after being beheaded. Saint Denis, whose Latin name is Dionysius, is most likely a Roman citizen who was born within the Roman Empire, possibly modern-day Italy. Nothing certain is known about his early life, and the mixture of fact and legend about his later life and martyrdom comes from at least the 6th century. He is believed to have been martyred sometime in the middle to late 3rd century. Most sources suggest that he was martyred during the reign of Emperor Decius, who ruled from 249 to 251 and initiated a widespread persecution of Christians. Others suggest that his martyrdom might have been during the reign of Valerian, who ruled from 253 to 260 and also persecuted Christians. Still others suggest a later date. Some believes after his death his body was thrown into the river Seine, but it was recovered by a woman named Catala and buried. A chapel was later built over his grave, and it became a place of pilgrimage in the 4th century. In the 5th century, a larger church was built, and in the 12th century, a magnificent abbey was constructed. And today, we still have the beautiful basilica, which is considered to be the first royal abbey in France. But let's go back to the legend of how he ended up there. So, Saint Denis was one of the first missionaries to preach Christianity in the region of Paris. He arrived in the city in 254 with 2 companions, a priest named Rusticus and a deacon named Eleutherius. According to Gregory of Tours, they went to the island in the Seine River and built a church there. They began to preach the gospel and soon converted many people. But this angered the Druids, or pagan priests, and they accused the Christians of disturbing the local cults and places of worship. The Druids were very powerful, and when they demanded that the Christians be punished, the local leaders agreed. So Denis and his companions were arrested and tortured, but they refused to renounce their faith. Finally, they were taken to the highest hill in the city, which was also a sacred place for the Druids, and beheaded. But this is where the legend takes over. After Denis had lost his head, it is said that he picked it up and walked several miles to the cemetery where he wanted to be buried. Along the way, he continued to preach and even baptized some people. When he finally reached the cemetery, he laid down his head, and it is said that he was buried in the spot where it fell. To this day, there is a church and a cemetery on that spot, and pilgrims still visit to see it. Some people doubt that any of this actually happened, but others believe that it is a miracle that only God could have performed. What do you think? I don't know. Maybe you can let me know in the comments below. So Denis and his companions are honored as saints in the Catholic Church and the Anglican Communion. They are also venerated in the Eastern Orthodox Church. He is often depicted as a bishop wearing a mitre and holding a staff, but sometimes he is shown with a club or a sword because of his martyrdom. Their feast day is celebrated on October 9th. As we think about Saint Denis, let us remember that he was a man who gave his life for his faith. He was willing to suffer and die rather than deny Jesus Christ. Let us also remember that he was a man who forgave those who killed him. Even in the midst of torture, he did not hold on to anger or hatred. Rather, he prayed for those who persecuted him. Let us remember that as we face our own trials and tribulations, whatever they may be, let us not deny our faith. Let us not hold on to anger and resentment, but rather forgive those who have wronged us and pray for them as Denis did. Thank you for watching this episode of Meet the Saints. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. You can also subscribe to my channel so you never miss an episode. Until next time, may the peace of Christ be with you always.